DIYers, what's going on? Mike Borders with the Mike Borders channel. Thank you for watching. We're talking jet skis today, working on my mom and dad's 2003 Sea-Doo GTX. And in today's video, the proper and safe way to replace the oil sensor that actually is inside the oil tank. And this is an easier DIY project than you think. Let's get started. All right, DIYers, here we are at the workstation. Check this out. This is my mom and dad's 2003 Sea-Doo GTX in-house for the winter for DIY repair videos. We're excited about this. We've got a lot of projects ahead. However, in this video, we are going to replace the oil quantity sensor that goes inside the oil tank. We will remove the seats here shortly. But first, I want to show you our little latch here. Notice how easy I can move that, and you don't hear any screeching, squealing, or screaming sounds or any unfriendly sounds coming from that latch because we properly lubricate it. And down below in the comment section, as well as the description section, will be a link on how to lubricate your latches, because if you don't, well, guess what? We've got one here, here, and our storage compartment up here. If you don't lubricate them, they will stiffen up and they will break. And if that happens, that's unfortunate, but we've got you covered. We will have a link down below on how to replace this style latch. However, from here, we'll remove our seats. And there it is. Both seats have been removed and are resting carefully and gently on the floor, as shown there. And again, the low oil quantity continues to show up, and you've got proper quantity of oil inside your engine, and you have replaced your oil filter that feeds into the line that feeds all the way to the bottom fitting of your oil tank here. Again, that's brand new, but you're still getting low oil quantity and you can't figure it out. It is likely that it is a faulty and needing to be replaced sensor. We will get to that here shortly. However, let's hop over to the workbench. And as we make our way to the workbench, we have been busy replacing a whole bunch of parts. Brand new ignition coils installed, a brand new starter, brand new plugs and wires, brand new start-stop cap. On the back side of that is your start-stop push button and wire harness. And in the event that you ever run into starting issues, well, you might have a worn out push button, and that link is down below as well. And I always say this in our videos, anytime you're working on a jet ski, outdrive, or outboard engine, make sure you reference your exact serial number service manual to ensure you're doing everything the correct way, as well as buying the exact replacement parts. That will go a long way, alleviate a lot of headaches. And in our case, here are our schematic or diagrams. We've got the electrical system. We've got our fuel system. However, here's why we're here, our oil system. You can see our oil tank, and this part right here is the hose that feeds all the way up to the filler and cap that we remove to pour oil into the system. And on the bottom portion of the tank itself is a rubber fitting that loops around into a line and into an oil filter. And again, if you have replaced that filter and you are still having oil quantity issues, it is time to replace that part right there. That is your oil quantity sensor that feeds into the center portion of your tank and inside the oil to create the oil quantity reading and then send it upstream to your onboard computer. And here's our engine and our oil pump location. Coming back starboard side of the jet ski, inside the hull, here is our battery. And safety first, DIYers, always go ahead and disconnect all electrical power to your battery by disconnecting the black negative cable from your battery. However, in our case, we have an electrical switch here, and you can see the switch is in the off position, cutting any and all electrical power to our system. And if I turned it clockwise, it is now on, and counterclockwise cuts all electrical power to your system. Coming out again in relation to the battery, the fuel tank on the left-hand side, the oil tank on the right-hand side, we have an electrical connection point for our sensor, and it is that connection point right there, and we want to carefully disconnect those connections. All right, DIYers, with the camera positioned inside the hull, we're basically looking to the front portion of the jet ski. And this right here is the fuel filler neck or hose that feeds all the way from the removable fuel cap, where we pour our fuel into the system and inside the tank. And again, to the left of that, you can see our electrical connection point, and it is zip tied. We are going to ever so carefully cut that zip tie without damaging anything in the surrounding area. And I am doing my absolute best to give you the best camera views and lighting as I work through this project. Now to a close-up view, again I have cut the bottom portion of that zip tie. I will carefully remove it. There it is. As always, try not to drop anything inside the hull of the jet ski. It will be very difficult to find, or even worse, you may never find it. And back inside, where I will carefully pull that connection point in a way where I can grab the backside here. When we scroll in, is you've got a little lock clip right there. And by pushing that, it will release a lock on this portion. And it's going to be difficult to get both arms and hands down in this small location, but you're just going to pull the two apart. And as you do this, do your absolute best not to break that little connection lock on top. It is plastic. And there we go. And real quick, inside this part right here, there is dielectric grease and there is a green rubber fitting as shown right there. And in order to remove this connection point, this part right here, I actually pulled downward toward my pinky. And by doing that, you actually unlock it from this little tab right there. And here's the internal portion. And you can see a little bit of grease in there. Not really corroded. However, if yours is very corroded, rusted, well, you might actually have a good sensor, but very bad and corroded leads here, which will definitely fault out the entire sensor and reading being sent to the computer. And I will shift the camera to this portion right here, and we'll go grab some tools and carefully pull this entire fitting and sensor out of the top portion of our tank. And a quick reposition of the camera, and down below in the comment section as well as the description section is a little chisel tool like this. You don't want it too sharp where you will end up scraping or gouging the tank itself. That would interfere with the rubber fitting on the brand new sensor when required to make that oil tight and watertight seal after the new one is installed. And I'm going to scroll the camera in again to the top portion of the tank. I'm just going to carefully come underneath like this and slowly begin working it up and out of the tank. Try not to crack or damage or again scratch or gouge the tank. All I'm doing is going around the entire portion to break up that seal. And as you see, it is broken or has freed up from the top portion of the tank. And I'm going to turn this in a way as shown there. I've got a pair of pliers. Again, DIYers, no easy way to get inside this little compartment unless you take the entire tank out. And there it is. You can see the shaft, and I can't actually pull it all the way out. I'm going to carefully remove the pliers. And DIYers, at this point, just be aware that you will get some oil on your fingers. Have some paper towels readily accessible. And this little line here is zip tied. And again, I can't actually pull the sensor out because of this fitting right here. And there we go. There it is. Check that out. I'm going to put it back in, grab some paper towel, and pull it all out. And I'll carefully set the paper towel in place. And again, pull the entire sensor out, set it on the paper towel, put the wiring on top, and I'll shift the camera back. And a quick view of it out of the tank on the paper towel, and I'll pull it out and put it on the workbench. To the workbench, and here is the old and removed oil sensor. Check that out. And the zip tie I cut from the electrical wiring. And the three tools I used, the cutters and the chisel, which serve the main purpose of just breaking that seal free from the tank itself, where I then transitioned to my Craftsman pliers, grabbed a hold of it and just pulled it right up and out. And again, there is the sensor. Closer view of the electrical connection and two wires that have the protective covering all the way up to the top portion of the sensor. and it feeds in the tank here. You can see the beveled design of that little fitting, and that's hard plastic. This is the rubber seal here. Check that out. You can't bend that portion. And there's the sensor inside there. And again, as I mentioned, you will get just a little bit of oil on your fingers. Make sure you have paper towel as you pull this sensor out of the jet ski hull to alleviate any oil from dripping anywhere else inside the hull. And again, just a close-up view of the sensor itself. And to the diagram, again, it's that part right there. You've got the tank, you've got number 18 fitting, which is right there. And then you've got the larger sensor, which is right here. And then you've got this upper or cap portion, as shown there, that has the electrical wiring feeding all the way to the connection point. And that will feed into number 29, which is a little drop of dielectric grease. And we'll do that when it comes time to install the brand new one. So just a quick view of the old sensor before we shift that aside and put the brand new sensor on the bench. Back inside the hull and DIYers, it's kind of a good time to clean your oil tank a bit. And that is what we're going to do. And as you clean this, do your absolute best not to push any loose debris inside the tank. That would not be good. And you also want this internal hole very clean. And as you can see, it's cleaning up very well. And DIYers, here it is, the brand new sensor. And I've got the old sensor bagged up to alleviate any mess. And again, there is the part number, the OEM part, which I strongly encourage. And there it is. Again, this is the rubber seal that goes into the tank, and then this part right here is hard plastic, and when you shift this down into the tank and inside this little rubber seal, it will actually extend the rubber seal outward to give it a firm grip or bite on the inner plastic tank to alleviate this entire sensor from just popping out as you're driving. So that is the design. Again, rubber seal into the tank. As you slide the hard plastic fitting into the seal, it extends and grabs a tight fit or lock on the plastic tank itself. Let's go and open it. And there it is, the brand new oil sensor unpackaged. And the opposite end connection point has a lot of dielectric grease on it, so I'm not going to apply any additional grease to this portion here. And again, this little rubber seal goes on the top portion of the tank, and as you slide this down and inside here, it will extend and create a firm and tight grip, as well as an oil-tight seal. And we've got a brand new tie strap when it comes time to re-secure the electrical connections to each other inside the hull. Here we are back inside the hull, and I'm going to do my best not to hit the camera as I shift this oil sensor all the way back. And what I'm going to do is lower it in and pull it back up just a little bit. And I do want to grab just a little bit of oil from the bottom portion of the sensor. And the reason for that is I want to lubricate the new seal here. And you might need to do that a couple times. Again, all I'm doing now is just grabbing a little bit of that oil in there to lubricate the new seal, both outer portion and outer portion of this. And at this point, the rubber seal will fall conveniently in place, and from here, I'll clean up my hands, come back in, and ever so carefully push this down. And as you push this down, do your absolute best not to harm or damage these wires. That will require some forceful but patient and careful pressure as you push that into the housing. And again, both sides, you do want it as flush as possible. As shown there, let me scroll in. And coming back in here, and you can turn it ever so slightly. And if you can turn it like this, you are properly flush all the way around. In the event that it's tough to turn or twist, you might be offset on either the back side or either of the sides. And from here, I am going to reroute the electrical wiring over here and secure it. And as far as the electrical wiring, it did feed on the front portion of the fuel filler neck that we pour gas into, and it makes its way into the top portion of the tank. And again, coming back here, this again is a very tight fit. And you will notice with the switch, I have 2 prongs here, and on the opposite end, I only have 1 prong. That right there, see that? And the side with the little prong right there. I'm going to slide into the electrical connection. Again, this side actually is pretty well dielectric greased. And as always, be patient. You don't want to break anything as you reconnect these. And that green part right there is a rubber seal that creates a watertight seal to alleviate any corrosion getting inside the connection point and destroying the electrical leads. So make sure that's there and properly aligned as you re-secure these. And push in until it clicks. Now to a close-up view of the electrical connection, and you can see the rear connection still has a little bit of that rubber seal in green showing, and that is normal. What I'll do now is grab the zip tie and secure the 2 connection points together. At this point, I've got the connection points stacked on each other, and again, just a standard zip tie. Be patient, this will definitely test your patience. And again, be patient. And again, I'm going to stack the 2 connections as they were before. There it is, DIYers. What I'll do now is I'll grab that cutting tool and cut away the excess portion of the zip tie. And one more view of the brand new oil sensor. Again, it is flush with the top portion of the tank, and that inner rubber gasket has been extended to create a firm grip on the tank itself and an oil-tight seal. Back to the electrical connection. That as well is secured and zip tied together with the other electrical connection. And DIYers, from here, just double check everything. Make sure you're not leaving any tools inside the hull, any loose items such as a flashlight. And from here, you can restore the power of your electrical system by re-securing the black negative cable to your battery, or in our case, we just turn the switch and put the seats back on. However, before we do that, down below in the comments section as well as the description section will be links on how to basically rebuild your fuel injection. And in our case, we've got 2 fuel injectors, which are the pink ones, and I'll just show you a quick view of them. There is the fuel injector on one side, and we've got a second one here, and we've got a fuel regulator and an air regulator as well. So in the event that you are interested in rebuilding your direct fuel injection, check out those links. From here, we'll just re-secure the seats. Taking a step back, and the seats are re-secured and the project is complete. And as always, DIYers, we hope this helps, but we're not done. Check this out. Got the gloves off, and this is our little step that we put our foot on and grab a hold right here, pull ourselves up onto the jet ski while we're in the water. Well, the little pad is completely dry, ripped, begging for replacement. What's up with that? And we've got the OEM replacement pad, and down below is a link on us replacing this. I'm guessing that this is the original. Yikes. In addition, we will lubricate the hinges. And many more helpful videos down below, including replacing this little spring-loaded latch, as shown there. Those break over time, unfortunately. The start-stop cap, as well as the start-stop push button and wire harness feeding downstream of your handlebar unit behind this housing. And more. Again, as always, we hope this helps. Hey, do us a favor, below the video, you will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely ring your YouTube bell. That would be very helpful to us. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching.